Hello, everyone. People often ask me, Decker Berg, where do I even start? There's so much information out there. Keto, fasting, supplements, workouts, it's overwhelming. And I tell them health doesn't start with doing everything at once. It starts with one simple change. Health begins with simplicity. When people think about getting healthy, they often imagine a massive list of changes, new workouts, new supplements, cutting out everything they love to eat, and spending hours researching diets. But the truth is, this approach overwhelms the body and the mind. Real, lasting health doesn't come from overhauling your life overnight. It comes from focusing on one simple, consistent change that's small enough to do every single day, but powerful enough to start shifting how your body functions. When you simplify the process, you remove confusion, decision fatigue, and stress, all of which are enemies of progress. Think of it this way: your body doesn't respond to grand gestures, it responds to consistency. One good choice done repeatedly has more impact than a dozen healthy things you try for a week and then quit. This is because the body works through patterns and adaptation. It's constantly learning from what you repeatedly do, not from what you do occasionally. When you make one small shift, like drinking more water, cutting out sugar in your coffee, or walking for 10 minutes after meals, you send a signal to your body that something is changing. Over time, that single action begins to influence hormones, metabolism, and energy production in ways that accumulate. Simplicity also lowers resistance. The reason most people fail to maintain their health goals is that they take on too much too fast. They start with high motivation, but motivation fades. What keeps you going is not motivation, it's systems and habits. And habits grow from small, manageable actions. If you choose one area to improve, such as your sleep routine, and give it your full attention for 2 or 3 weeks, you start to see progress. That progress becomes feedback to your brain that says, this is working. The more your brain believes that change is possible, the easier it becomes to layer on additional improvements later. Another reason simplicity matters is that the body itself thrives in balance. The human body doesn't need extreme measures to get healthy. It needs support, not shock. For example, if you suddenly start a restrictive diet or intense workout regimen, your body perceives that as stress. Stress raises cortisol, and cortisol blocks fat burning, weakens immunity, and disrupts sleep. So ironically, trying to do too much at once can push you further from health. When you simplify, you give your body time to adapt gently and naturally. That's when hormones begin to regulate, digestion improves, energy stabilizes, and inflammation decreases. Health unfolds organically instead of being forced. Simplicity also builds confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you strengthen your belief that you can change. Maybe your simple change is drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning. Maybe it's turning off screens 30 minutes before bed. When you succeed at one thing, your brain experiences a dopamine response, a sense of reward. That neurochemical reward is powerful. It teaches your mind that progress feels good. This is how you create positive momentum without relying on willpower alone. Willpower is limited, but habits built on small wins can last a lifetime. When you focus on one simple change, you also learn to observe your body's feedback. You start noticing how you feel after certain foods, how your energy fluctuates, and how your sleep patterns shift. This awareness is the foundation of true health because it reconnects you with your body's signals. Instead of chasing quick fixes or external advice, you begin to trust your internal cues. That's when you stop guessing and start understanding what your body really needs. One small, simple change can become the key that opens the door to awareness, discipline, and lasting transformation. Cutting sugar and calming insulin is one of the most powerful steps anyone can take toward real health. Sugar seems harmless because it's everywhere in coffee, sauces, snacks, and even so-called health foods, but it silently disrupts your metabolism at the hormonal level. Every time you eat sugar, your blood glucose rises, and your body responds by releasing insulin, the hormone that helps move that glucose into your cells. Insulin itself isn't bad. In fact, it's essential. The problem begins when insulin is triggered too often in our modern diet. That happens constantly, and the result is that your body never gets a break. Chronically high insulin levels tell your body to store fat instead of burn it, leading to weight gain, fatigue, and eventually insulin resistance. When insulin is constantly elevated, it doesn't just affect weight, it influences almost every system in your body. High insulin levels block fat burning because as long as insulin is present, the body prefers to use glucose for fuel. That means you stay in a sugar burning mode instead of a fat burning mode. Over time, this traps you in a cycle where you crave more sugar just to maintain your energy levels. The more sugar you eat, the higher your insulin goes, and the harder it becomes to access stored fat for energy. This is one of the main reasons why so many people struggle to lose weight even when they're eating less. They're not burning fat efficiently because insulin keeps them locked out of that process. Reducing sugar intake breaks that cycle and gives your body a chance to reset its metabolic balance. When insulin levels start to drop, fat burning can resume naturally. Energy levels stabilize because your body begins to tap into its own fuel reserves instead of depending on constant carbohydrate intake. Many people notice that once they cut sugar, they experience fewer energy crashes and fewer cravings throughout the day. Their hunger normalizes, mood improves, and their focus becomes sharper. This isn't just a psychological effect, it's a direct result of restoring hormonal balance. When insulin decreases, so does inflammation, and that affects everything from brain clarity to joint comfort. The process of calming insulin doesn't require extreme restriction, it requires awareness. The goal isn't to eliminate every trace of sugar overnight, but to become conscious of where it's hiding and gradually replace it with real, nutrient-dense foods. Every time you swap a sugary snack for protein, healthy fats, or vegetables, you send a new signal to your body. Over time, your taste buds adjust, your cravings fade, and your metabolism starts to work for you instead of against you. What once felt like deprivation begins to feel natural. This shift happens faster than most people expect because the body is designed to thrive without constant glucose spikes. Another benefit of lowering insulin is that it allows other hormones to work properly. Growth hormone, for example, helps with fat burning and tissue repair, but it can only function effectively when insulin is low. High insulin also affects cortisol, the stress hormone, which can further promote fat storage and inflammation. So when you calm insulin, you're not just improving metabolism, you're harmonizing your entire hormonal system. This is why even a single step like cutting sugary drinks or avoiding frequent snacking can create visible changes in body composition, energy, and mood within days or weeks. There's also a deeper connection between sugar and emotional health. High sugar consumption can cause blood sugar fluctuations that mimic anxiety and irritability. People often misinterpret these feelings as stress from external factors, but much of it is biological. Stabilizing blood sugar by reducing sugar intake can therefore bring a sense of calm and mental clarity that people don't expect from a dietary change. It's not about restriction, it's about liberation from cravings, fatigue, mood swings, and the dependency cycle that keeps the body inflamed and tired. Calming insulin through simple dietary awareness is the foundation for restoring metabolic health and creating a state where the body can burn fat, sustain energy, and function the way it was meant to. The human body is an intelligent, self-regulating system designed to heal, adapt, and maintain balance. It doesn't need to be forced into health. It needs to be supported. Every cell, organ, and hormone works together with one main goal: to keep you alive and in equilibrium. When you begin to understand that, you stop trying to control the body and start working with it. Supporting the body's natural intelligence means removing interference, giving it the right conditions, and trusting that it knows how to restore balance. This approach is far more powerful and sustainable than chasing symptoms or temporary fixes because it works with the body's design instead of against it. When people experience fatigue, weight gain, or digestive issues, their first instinct is often to look for an external solution, a pill, a supplement, or a new diet plan. But most of the time, the body isn't broken. It's simply overburdened. Years of stress, poor nutrition, lack of sleep, and constant eating place enormous strain on the body's repair systems. The liver, digestive tract, and hormonal system become overwhelmed. Instead of adding more to the equation, the smarter move is to simplify and give the body space to recover. For example, intermittent fasting is one of the simplest ways to support natural healing. It allows your digestive system to rest, lowers insulin levels, and activates processes like autophagy, where your body cleans out damaged cells and regenerates new ones. You're not forcing change, you're allowing it. When the body is given proper nutrients and rest, it begins to repair itself automatically. Cells regenerate, inflammation decreases, and energy returns naturally. The same principle applies to sleep. Deep restorative sleep is when your brain detoxifies, your hormones balance, and your tissues repair. You can't replace sleep with supplements or stimulants. Your body depends on that recovery period to maintain function. Supporting the body's intelligence means prioritizing these natural processes instead of constantly interrupting them with artificial quick fixes. It's about alignment, not control. Nutrition plays a key role in this partnership with the body. Real food provides information to your cells. Every nutrient sends a signal that influences how your genes express themselves. Processed foods, on the other hand, send mixed messages that disrupt those signals, leading to metabolic confusion. When you eat whole foods rich in vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats, you're essentially giving your body the raw materials it needs to do its job. It knows how to use them efficiently. You don't need to micromanage every nutrient if you're eating foods that nature designed. Your body recognizes them, absorbs them, and uses them intelligently. Another way to support your body's intelligence is by managing stress. Chronic stress keeps your nervous system in fight or flight mode, flooding your bloodstream with cortisol and adrenaline. This constant alert state suppresses digestion, slows metabolism, and weakens immunity. Most people don't realize how much stress interferes with physical health because they're used to feeling that way. Simple practices like deep breathing, walking in nature, or mindfulness give the body a signal of safety, allowing it to shift back into repair mode. When you calm the nervous system, every other system begins to function better. Your digestion improves, your blood pressure stabilizes, and your sleep deepens, all because the body finally feels safe enough to heal. Supporting the body's natural intelligence also means respecting its feedback. When you feel tired, it's asking for rest. When you're bloated, it's signaling that something isn't digesting well. When you crave sugar, it might be asking for stable fuel, not another quick energy spike. Learning to listen instead of suppressing symptoms builds a relationship of awareness. The body is constantly communicating, we just have to pay attention. When you start trusting your body, you realize it's not your enemy, it's your greatest ally. It wants to function well, it wants balance, and it rewards you when you create the conditions that let it do so. Most people are taught to think about health in terms of calories, how many they eat, and how many they burn. But this narrow focus misses the deeper reality of how the body actually works. The body isn't a simple calculator, it's a complex hormonal system. Hormones are the chemical messengers that control metabolism, appetite, energy, fat storage, and even mood. When hormones are balanced, the body naturally maintains a healthy weight, stable energy, and emotional calm. When they're disrupted, no amount of calorie counting can fix the problem. Focusing on hormonal health instead of just calories means addressing the real root of metabolic balance. The most important hormones involved in this process include insulin, cortisol, and growth hormone. Insulin, which regulates blood sugar, determines whether the body stores or burns fat. When insulin levels are high, fat burning shuts off. This means that if you're constantly eating even small snacks, your body stays in a state of fat storage. It doesn't matter if the food is low calorie. The hormonal signal overrides the calorie equation. That's why someone can eat less but still not lose weight. They're trapped in a hormonal pattern that promotes storage. When you lower insulin through intermittent fasting, reducing sugar, or eating whole foods, the body switches into fat burning mode naturally. Energy levels rise because your body is now accessing its stored fuel instead of depending on quick sugars. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is another major player. It's designed to help you survive emergencies by increasing alertness and releasing glucose for energy. But when stress becomes chronic, whether from work pressure, lack of sleep, or emotional strain, cortisol remains elevated. This continuous stress response tells your body to conserve energy and store fat, especially around the abdomen. It also breaks down muscle tissue and weakens the immune system. Managing cortisol through adequate sleep, relaxation, and balanced nutrition helps normalize this system. When stress lowers, metabolism improves, and the body begins to use energy more efficiently instead of hoarding it. Growth hormone works in the opposite way of insulin. It promotes fat burning, muscle growth, and cellular repair. It's most active during sleep and periods of fasting. When you eat constantly or don't get enough rest, growth hormone production drops, slowing your metabolism and aging your body faster. Supporting growth hormone naturally means allowing periods of fasting, sleeping deeply, and avoiding excessive sugar and refined carbohydrates. These simple habits create the perfect environment for your body to repair itself and stay youthful at the cellular level. Again, this has nothing to do with calories, it's all about hormonal rhythm. The thyroid gland also plays a central role in metabolism. Thyroid hormones control how quickly your body converts food into energy. Stress, nutrient deficiencies, and hormonal imbalances can suppress thyroid function, leading to fatigue, weight gain, and brain fog. Feeding the thyroid with nutrients like iodine, selenium, and zinc through real foods helps it perform properly. When thyroid hormones are balanced, metabolism feels effortless. You have energy throughout the day, and your body finds its natural healthy weight without extreme diets. Focusing on hormones shifts the conversation from punishment to partnership. Instead of starving yourself or obsessing over numbers, you learn how to work with your body's signals. You begin to ask different questions. not how many calories is this, but what message does this send to my hormones? A high sugar snack tells your body to store fat. A meal rich in healthy fats, proteins, and vegetables tells it to burn fuel steadily and maintain balance. Understanding these signals gives you control in a deeper way because you're influencing the system that actually runs everything else. When you prioritize hormonal health, weight loss becomes a side effect of healing, your cravings lessen, your energy stabilizes, and your mood evens out. You stop fighting against your body and start cooperating with it. Hormones are the hidden key to lasting health, and when you learn to manage them through food, sleep, and lifestyle, the results are not temporary, they're transformational. Small wins create momentum, and momentum is what truly drives transformation. Most people approach health as an all or nothing project, thinking they have to completely change their diet, start intense workouts, or follow strict routines to see progress. But the truth is, big changes often fail because they're built on short bursts of motivation, not sustainable action. The body and mind both respond better to gradual improvements. When you achieve one small success, no matter how minor it seems, it creates a ripple effect that propels you forward. This is how long-term health is built through consistent, achievable victories that compound over time. When you make one positive change and stick with it, you activate a feedback loop in your brain. That loop releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with reward and motivation. Each success gives you a small hit of satisfaction that makes you want to keep going. This process rewires your habits at a neurological level. For instance, if you start by cutting out sugary drinks, after a week you may notice you have more stable energy or fewer cravings. That feeling of improvement becomes your new motivation, replacing willpower with positive reinforcement. The next step, like walking after meals or adjusting meal timing, becomes easier because your brain now associates change with reward rather than deprivation. Small wins also build self-trust. Many people struggle with consistency not because they don't know what to do, but because they've broken promises to themselves too many times. Every failed diet or abandoned plan weakens confidence. When you focus on one manageable goal and follow through, you begin to rebuild that trust. You prove to yourself that you can follow through, and that belief becomes the foundation for larger goals. Once you believe in your ability to stay consistent, you no longer depend on fleeting motivation. Discipline grows naturally from small, steady success. Momentum also reduces resistance. In the beginning, change feels uncomfortable because your brain craves familiarity. But once you start moving, the discomfort fades. Taking action creates energy, and energy keeps you moving. This is why doing something small, like preparing one healthy meal or going for a short walk, can completely shift your mindset for the day. You begin to see yourself as someone who takes care of their health. That new identity shapes your choices without conscious effort. You're no longer forcing discipline. You're simply living in alignment with your self-image. This shift is powerful because identity-based habits are far stronger than rule-based ones. Another key aspect of momentum is that it makes setbacks less significant. When you've built consistency through small steps, one bad meal or missed workout doesn't derail you. You've already proven that progress is built on what you do most of the time, not what you do occasionally. This mindset prevents guilt and discouragement, which are two of the biggest reasons people give up on their health goals. Instead of quitting, you simply pick up where you left off. You start to see health not as a destination, but as a continuous process that evolves with you. Small wins also create physical momentum within the body. As you make better choices, your energy levels rise, your hormones balance, and your sleep improves. These physiological changes make it even easier to continue the habits that cause them. For example, better sleep improves willpower and decision-making, which makes it easier to stay on track with nutrition. Lower sugar intake reduces cravings, making it easier to fast or choose whole foods. Every improvement supports the next, creating a compounding effect of progress. This is how simple daily actions turn into lasting transformation. When you focus on progress rather than perfection, health stops feeling like a struggle. It becomes a flow, a natural, self-reinforcing process. You no longer chase motivation because momentum carries you. The key is to start small, stay consistent, and let each success build upon the last. Over time, those small wins create a powerful current of change that transforms not just your body, but your mindset, your energy, and your entire relationship with health. The idea of waiting for the perfect moment to start improving your health is one of the biggest traps people fall into. Many tell themselves they'll begin on Monday after the holidays or when life becomes less stressful, but that perfect time never comes because life never stops being busy or unpredictable. The truth is, the only right time to start is now. When you take action today, no matter how small, you immediately shift your direction. You move from intention to execution, from thinking to doing. This single decision creates momentum, and that momentum can completely change the course of your health and your life. Starting today doesn't mean overhauling everything at once. It means doing one thing that aligns with your goal. It could be skipping that sugary drink, going for a 10-minute walk, or cooking a real meal instead of ordering takeout. The action itself doesn't need to be huge, it just needs to happen. Once you take that step, you prove to yourself that change is possible now, not someday. Every day you delay, you reinforce the habit of waiting. Every day you take action, you reinforce the habit of progress. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start because procrastination creates inertia. The moment you act, you break that cycle. People often wait because they believe they need motivation first, but motivation rarely appears out of nowhere. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. When you start doing something positive, even before you feel ready, your brain begins to release chemicals that make you feel accomplished. You start to see small results, and those results feed motivation. This is why the hardest part of change is the beginning. Once you start, it gets easier. The energy you generate through taking action fuels your desire to keep going. Waiting for motivation to arrive is like waiting for the wind to move your sailboat. You have to start rowing before you catch the wind. Another reason people hesitate to start is fear of failure. They've tried before and fallen off track, so they believe starting again is pointless. But failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of the process. Every attempt teaches you something about your habits, your triggers, and what truly works for you. When you start today, you're not starting from zero, you're starting from experience. Each effort refines your approach. The only real failure is not starting at all. Perfection isn't required, consistency is. Even imperfect action leads to progress, while inaction leads to nothing but regret. Taking action today also sends a powerful message to your subconscious mind. It tells your brain that health is a priority, not a wish. The body responds to what the mind believes. When you act decisively, you align your thoughts, energy, and physiology toward the same goal. That alignment strengthens commitment and makes it easier to sustain healthy habits. For example, when you choose to fast for a few hours, your body begins adjusting hormone levels and shifting energy use almost immediately. The changes start happening the moment you start acting, not weeks later. Starting today also helps you build resilience. Life will always have challenges, work, stress, obligations, but learning to take care of yourself amid those challenges is what creates lasting health. If you wait for the conditions to be perfect, you'll never build the skill of consistency. True discipline is doing what you need to do even when circumstances aren't ideal. The people who make lasting changes aren't the ones who have more time or motivation. They're the ones who stop waiting for either. Every major transformation begins with one simple decision, the decision to start now. It's not about intensity, it's about direction. Once you begin, your body and mind start aligning with your goal. You don't need to see the entire path, you just need to take the first step. Health is built moment by moment, and each small action compounds over time. The sooner you start, the sooner you experience the results. There is no perfect time. There is only now, and now is always the right moment to begin.